There's been frequent discussions about the US Open and whether it'll even be played in 2020. Apparently, the ATP CEO, Massimo Calvelli, along with the director of the USTA, had a conference call with many tennis players discussing the various decisions the tournament can make. One option that has been talked about a lot recently is to hold both the Cincinnati and US Opens at Flushing Meadows. With this, there would likely be no qualifier rounds for the Open and the doubles draw would be reduced. The next alternative is to just cancel the Cincinnati Open and keep the US Open with its regular sized draws and qualifiers. The third and final option is to just simply cancel the tournament. ATP player Lukas Lachko revealed some insight on the call, first tweeting, "Just finished the Zoom call for ATP players and I have mixed feelings. There will be a lot of heat in our organization for the next couple of days, I guess." He also tweeted, 400 people in the room. Duration, 3 hours, 36 minutes. A lot of topics were discussed, including the USTA's proposal, which is already public. Lots of input from players. 5 days for a decision. There were apparently no WTA players present in the call, as WTA Council member Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova told L'Equipe that they've strived to have joint calls with the ATP, but to no avail. Money has been a big topic in this situation, and it was even announced that the USTA laid off 20% of their staff. Marin Cilic apparently called for an increase in prize money because of the current situation. USTA President Patrick Galbraith was adamant that this is not an option, considering the current stature of the association. "We actually are taking out more debt to get this event going," Galbraith said. "Our revenues are absolutely shattered this year. We just had a cut on Monday of our staff. We laid off 130 people, so we can't go any higher. We literally can't. This is it." Additional reports have come out concerning the measures the USTA will take to ensure the players' safety. If the tournament is held, international players would have to quarantine for 14 days upon arriving in the United States. Also, there are talks of them buying out a hotel to house all the players. With the limited hotel rooms, restrictions on the amount of team members that can come have been discussed. Reportedly, only one person from the camp will be allowed to attend the matches. For this reason, world number 1 Novak Djokovic is doubtful he'll compete in the US Slam. Djokovic told Serbia's Prva TV, "I had a telephone conversation with the leaders of world tennis. There were talks about the continuation of the season, mostly about the US Open due in late August, but it's not known whether it'll be held. The rules that they told us that we would have to respect to be there to play at all are extreme. We would not have access to Manhattan. We would have to sleep in hotels at the airport to be tested twice or 3 times per week. Also, we could bring one person to the club, which is really impossible. I mean, you need your coach, then a fitness trainer, then a physiotherapist. They want the tournament to go ahead at any cost for economic reasons, which I understand. But the question is, how many players are willing to accept those terms?" American player Danielle Collins has been vocal in her disagreement with Novak's statements in support of a team. The 51st ranked women's player said on her Instagram story yesterday, "This is a serious contradiction to previous statements about having players inside the top 100 donate money to players outside of the top 250. No one has been able to play sanctioned events or make money since February. Here we have an awesome opportunity with the US Open talking about proceeding forward with the event with some strict safety precautions to make sure all players feel safe and their health is put first. This is a massive opportunity for players to start making money again, and here we have the top player in the world saying that only being able to bring one person with him will be too difficult to bring his entourage." A women's player that differs from Collins' views is Simona Halep, according to coach Darren Cahill. Cahill told Reuters, "From Simona's point of view, you got to fly over Romania, you need to spend 4 weeks in this one hotel in New York, and you can only bring one person. Normally you have a physio, a hitting partner, trainer, and maybe a coach or two. you've got to basically stay in this bubble with only one person for 3 or 4 weeks, and you have to be professional and compete at the highest level. So now there are going to be a lot of players that have an issue with that for sure. Halep herself said, "I definitely have strong concerns about going there with those conditions, not only because we're in the middle of a global pandemic, but also because of the risk of travel, potential quarantine, and then the changes around the tournament. We are used to things operating differently, and it would not be an easy transition at all, particularly on our bodies. I know that financially, the tournament and sponsors would like to run, and also that many players are out of jobs right now, but I think it's a very personal decision we have to make. It's important to understand that everyone has individual needs and circumstances, and we should do what's best for our personal health and also think long term about our career. I can see both sides to the argument, and that these lower ranked players are being greatly impacted by not being able to play and just want to compete. However, those higher ranked players are in more privileged positions, relying on their team members heavily. Another factor that Collins failed to touch on is the impact this will have on the international players. Unlike her and other American players, these international pros have to go through extreme measures to even be able to compete. Rafael Nadal shares similar views with Novak, expressing his doubts on tennis resuming during these times. Rafa said, "For me, it's very difficult to separate the status that the world is living from my real perspective on the world of tennis. We need to be responsible. We need to be sure that the situation is safe enough, and then of course, try to come back to our tour when things are clear." Nick Kyrgios entered the discussion tweeting, "The ATP is trying to make the US Open go ahead. Selfish with everything going on at the moment. Obviously COVID, but also with the riots. Together we need to overcome these challenges before tennis returns, in my opinion." Before this, he asked the big three of their thoughts on the US Open being played. Judging by his previous tweet, it's clear that Nick agrees with Djokovic and Nadal's view on the matter. The player who likely won't make a statement on whether the US Open should be played is Roger Federer, who won't be playing the event. Federer announced on Twitter that he won't be playing for the rest of the 2020 season, as he'll undergo another knee surgery. Dear fans, I hope you are staying safe and healthy. A few weeks ago, having experienced a setback during my initial rehabilitation, I had to have an additional quick arthroscopic procedure on my right knee, Federer said. Now, much like I did leading up to the 2017 season, I plan to take the necessary time to be 100% ready to play at my highest level. I will be missing my fans and the tour dearly, but I look forward to seeing everyone back on tour at the start of the 2021 season. All the best, Roger. Now with this announcement, many retirement discussions were started, with many believing the 2021 season will be the Swiss's last. I disagree with this because while it would make sense, seeing that the Olympics are being played next year and all, I still believe Roger has a few more good seasons in him and can compete for majors. It is discouraging to see that he's having all these surgeries, but they aren't major, and now is the best time to get it done, seeing that the rest of the tennis season is in limbo. Speaking of the remainder of the 2020 season, British WTA player Tara Moore shared a proposed plan of the tours, which had the tour resuming on August 3rd at Charleston and the two majors being played in a week for the main draw. This is just a proposed schedule, so for now we shouldn't look too much into it. Important news concerning the fate of the majors and the rest of the season is expected to be published next week on the 15th, so be on the lookout. That's all for today's video, and let me know your thoughts on the entire US Open drama. Do you agree with Djokovic and Kyrgios and that it probably shouldn't be played, or do you think they should just go ahead with it? Also, how do you feel about Roger's second knee surgery in 2020? Will he come back and stay on tour for a few more years? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and subscribe and click the notification bell so you're up to date on all the developments on the 2020 tennis schedule. Lastly, shout out to former WTA CEO Stacey Allister, who made history as the first female tournament director at the US Open. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today.